Hello, dear students. How are you today? I hope you are in good health. Our subject today is about run-on sentences, fragments, and comma splices. Let's start with sentence fragments. What's meant by a sentence fragment? It is usually missing one or more components, such as subject, predicate, or complete thought. When I say under the bed, this is a sentence fragment without subject or verb. The complete sentence when I say the toy was under the bed. When the predicate is missing, when I say the man in that house without verb to be here. This is a sentence fragment. The man in that house lives alone. This is a complete sentence. After they finished dinner, this is incomplete thought. After they finished dinner. Sentence fragment. After they finished dinner, they went to the movies. This is a complete sentence, complete thought. As we know, a fragment is a group of words, but it may be missing a subject or a verb or both. A dependent clause on its own is a fragment because it doesn't express a complete thought. Is that clear? A dependent clause is a fragment, as you know. So in order to fix a fragment that begins with a dependent clause, we must add an independent clause. Examples: since I started taking classes. This is a dependent clause. Unless we study hard. This is a dependent clause. If I don't understand, this is a dependent clause. These are fragments. In order to fix the fragments, we must add independent clause. So we can say, since I started taking classes, I have had to improve my time management skills. This sentence is a complete sentence. And we avoided fragments here. Since I started taking classes, we add independent clause. I have had to improve my time management skills. The second fragment, we will not be successful in college unless we study hard. Unless we study hard, we add to this fragment, we add independent clause. We will not be successful in college unless we study hard. The next one, if I don't understand, we add here independent clause. There are many resources available to me for extra explanations, like my instructors and online tutoring. Is it clear? I hope so. We must make sure that each sentence has a subject and a verb. Being late for a class is a fragment. Left their box in the library. This is also a fragment. In order to fix the fragment, we must add verbs in the first fragment. Being late for a class makes a very negative impression. Here we add a verb and gives a complete thought. The sentence gives a complete thought. So this is a complete sentence. Being late for class makes a very negative impression. The second one, Kim and Eric, this is the subject, left their box in the library. This is also a complete sentence. So we change the fragment into complete sentence by adding a verb or a subject. Is it obvious? I hope so. Let's move to the second type of sentences, which are called run-on sentences. What's meant by a run-on sentence? A run-on sentence occurs when two independent clauses run together without punctuation or appropriate conjunctions. You know, dear students, that any word group with a subject and a verb is a clause. And you know that an independent clause is one that is able to stand alone as a sentence. This is called an independent clause. When two independent clauses are written together without a proper punctuation between them, that is a run-on sentence. The sentence number one, number two are run-on sentences. Let's read the first one. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress. I try to work out every day. The second one, I love to exercise first thing in the morning. It gives me more energy for the rest of the day. These two sentences are called run-on sentences without proper punctuation or conjunction. In order to correct run-on sentences, in order to correct run-on sentences, we have to put a period to separate the two sentences in order to avoid run-on sentences. This is the first option. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress. Full stop. I try to work out every day. The second one, I love to exercise first thing in the morning. Full stop. It gives me more energy for the rest of the day. The second option is to use semicolon between the two sentences or independent sentences. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress. Semicolon. I try to work out every day. The second sentence. I love to exercise first thing in the morning. Semicolon. It gives me more energy for the rest of the day. Here in two sentences we use semicolon. This is the second option. Let's move to the third option. The third option is to use coordinate conjunction by remembering the word fan boys for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Exercise is a great way to relieve stress, comma, so I try to work out every day. The second, I love to exercise first thing in the morning, comma, for it gives me more energy for the rest of the day. Remember to put your comma in front of your conjunctions here. The fourth way to correct run-on sentences by using subordinate conjunctions such as when, since, while, after, etc. Because Since exercise is a great way to relieve stress, I try to work out every day. The second one, I love to exercise first thing in the morning because it gives me more energy for the rest of the day. Here, in the first sentence, we use since as a subordinate conjunction and use because in the second one as subordinate conjunction in order to correct run-on sentences. Is it clear? I hope so. What does a comma signal? A comma signals a pause. It tells the reader to slow down briefly but then keep going until the thought is completed. Example, because I like grammar, comma, I like this class. What do periods and semicolons signal? Semicolons and periods signal a full stop. Idea is complete. The first sentence, I love grammar, full stop. I love this class. The second sentence, I love grammar, semicolon. I love this class. Once again, a run-on is a sentence error caused by running one sentence into another without putting any punctuation in between. Example, we all like grammar. We all love this class. This is a run-on sentence without punctuation in between the sentences. Let's move to a comma splice. What's meant by a comma splice? A comma splice is a sentence error caused by putting just a poor weak comma between two complete sentences. Example, we all like grammar, comma, we all love this class. There is a weak comma here between the two complete sentences, and this is called comma splice. How can we correct comma splices and run-on sentences? The first way is to separate them with a period, creating two complete sentences. Like this sentence, we all like grammar, full stop. We all love this class. Two separate sentences. We use here a period or full stop to correct these run-on and comma splices. The first one, these punctuation rules aren't hard. I know how to avoid run-ons. The correct is to say these punctuation rules aren't hard. Full stop. I know how to avoid run-ons. The second sentence, my new supervisor has been making all sorts of changes, comma, she is really causing problems. My new supervisor has been making all sorts of changes, full stop. She is really causing problems. The second way to correct comma splices and run-on sentences by linking them with a semicolon. This creates two complete sentences just as a period does, but the second sentence does not start with a capital letter. We like grammar, semicolon. We love this class. We use here semicolon to link between the two sentences, two complete sentences, and we don't use capital letters طبعا. course, after semicolon. The third way to correct comma splices and run-on sentences by using a semicolon and begin the second with a conjunctive adverb or transitional. For example, we like grammar, semicolon, therefore, comma, we love this class. We can use semicolon and transitional words like therefore or however to correct this comma splice. I am not going to give up, however, I do sometimes get discouraged. The correct is to say I am not going to give up, semicolon, however, comma, I do sometimes get discouraged. I hope it's clear. The fourth way to correct comma splices and run-on sentences by joining the two sentences with a comma and one of the conjunctions for, and, nor, but, or yet, so. We all like grammar, comma, and we all love this class. We use here comma before the conjunctions and. Another example, I want a raise, I want more vacation days. In order to correct run-on sentences, we should say I want a raise, comma, and conjunction طبعا I want more vacation days. I want a raise, comma, conjunction I want more vacation days. The last way to correct comma splices and run-on sentences is to join the two separate sentences into one with a subordinating conjunction or relative pronoun. Example, we all like grammar. We all love this class. We can use because we all like grammar, comma, we all love this class. Or we can say all students who like grammar love this class. We have two sentences here. The question is, what is correct? Which is correct? I understand run-ons. However, I am still having trouble with comma splices. The second one, I understand run-ons. However, semicolon, however, comma, I am still having trouble with comma splices. The second one is correct. We use semicolon before however, conjunction, and comma after it. Another two sentences and decide which is correct. I am really good with punctuation because I have been practicing so much. The second one, I am really good with punctuation, semicolon, because I have been practicing so much. The first one is correct, without semicolon. Let's read the next sentences. I have been given lots of new duties, comma, for example, filing and community outreach. The second one, I have been given lots of new duties, semicolon, for example, comma, filing and community outreach. The first one is right. We put comma before the expression, for example. Let's look at the next sentences. Two sentences. This grammar practice is useful, semicolon, although, comma, sometimes tedious. The second one, this grammar practice is useful, comma, although sometimes tedious. The second one is correct. Let's read this sentence. Ralph could tell his brother was home from work, comma, his dirty work boots were out on the porch. This sentence is weak because there is a comma splice here. This is a weak comma splice. So in order to correct it, we can use full stop or semicolon. In order to correct this sentence with this comma splice, we can use full stop or semicolon. We can say Ralph could tell his brother was home from work, full stop. His dirty work boots were out on the porch. Or we can say Ralph could tell his brother was home from work, semicolon. His dirty work boots were out on the porch. Let's read another sentence. My brother's roommate at college is a really nice person, but he needs to bathe more. Here, this sentence is not correct. We put comma before but. As you see, we join compound sentence with a comma before a conjunction but. Let's read this sentence. The exhausted student rested her head in her textbook. She was asleep in minutes. This is a run-on sentence. In order to correct it, we can say the exhausted student rested her head in her textbook. Full stop. She was asleep in minutes. Another correction. The exhausted student rested her head in her textbook, comma, and she was asleep in minutes. The third correction is to say the exhausted student rested her head in her textbook, semicolon, she was asleep in minutes. Let's read the sentence. The mechanic and I listened to my car's transmission. Full stop. It sounded like a bag of broken glass. This is a correct sentence. Okay, let's read another sentence. Greg thought that his expensive new sneakers were stylish, but his parents considered them a waste of money. These two sentences are joined together by but, and we use a comma before conjunction here. Is it correct? As you see, these compound sentences are joined with a comma before a conjunction but. Let's read this sentence. Because female spiders sometimes devour their mates during courtship, male spiders have dangerous love lives. This complex sentence is correct and we use comma after subordinate clause. As we know, we start with a subordinate conjunction because and we use comma after subordinate clause. So this is a correct sentence. With this sentence, we come to the end of this lesson. I wish you all the best. Good night.